What up, fam? It is your favorite cousin, your favorite uncle, your favorite father, your favorite brother, your best friend's best friend. It's me, Dr. Larry. And I'd like to say welcome to the Living For You YouTube channel. Welcome back, welcome back. Welcome to the table, family. You are here. What a good day we have today. We have moved our way on into spring, and spring is feeling fully into effect. The temperatures are rising. The sky looks good. It looks very nice and blue outside. And although we are here sitting and chilling in the house due to whatever situation, we are still able to appreciate the beautiful, wonderful moving of the universe that is spring. So welcome, 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 welcome. Of course, I like to say welcome to my faithful subscribers. And guess what, y'all? We have a big announcement. We have reached 1,000 plus subscribers. Yes, 1,000 plus subscribers. And I am so happy. I am so thankful. I am so blessed because it is you. You are the ones who come to the table twice a week and sit and we talk and we have discussions and we meet, and I am so thankful. I don't see you all as fans. I don't even see you all as subscribers, even though that's what YouTube calls you. I see you all as my family. We are connected. We are on this journey together. So 1,000 subscribers is a big deal. Let's keep the momentum going. Let's keep growing. We've been for 3 months and we're doing well. So let's just keep going and keep momentum building to get to 10,000 subscribers and then ultimately to our million. But once again, I'm thankful. Thankful to you, family. You guys come here. You guys support. So continue to come, continue to support, continue to invite people over so that we can get more and more and more and continue this movement growing healthy, happy, holistic, mentally strong people, and we are doing our thing. So those of you who are frequent, thank you, welcome back. Those of you who are new, welcome. In case you do not know who I am Dr. Larry Smith. I am a certified life and spiritual coach. I own a coaching practice called Living For You Coaching, in which I do life coaching and spiritual coaching. My target audience are African American males between the ages of 18 and 40 who have dealt with some kind of trauma but are unable to move beyond that trauma into their best life. And my goal, my job, my passion, my love is to help them to move into that best life as by any means necessary. I guess that would be the case. And so, but I can help anybody, but that's where I've niched it. You know, we're supposed to niche and have a specialization. That's my specialization because I'm an African-American male who have dealt with trauma, but who have overcome trauma. And so I'm able to help people, and that is my passion, my life, my love, my job, my business, and that's why I'm here. And that's what we do here. We help all people here. But we also help African-American males, and we help other people to kind of cope and deal. So welcome, 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 welcome. Living For You is a movement. It is growing. You can go out to www.liveforyoucoaching.com to get more information about the business, about me. You can email me. You can follow me on social media. I am on Instagram at Dr. Larry Smith. I am on Twitter at Dr. Larry Smith. I am on Facebook at Dr. Larry Smith. I'm on TikTok at Dr. Larry Smith, PhD. You can find me. So reach out if you need to reach out, if you need coaching, if you need someone to talk to so we can move beyond and be healthy, productive people. I know, especially now, it's a good time to get with a coach or get with somebody to help. So take advantage of that. Welcome to the table. And you all look great, by the way. So I'm going to assume, based on how you look, that you're doing good. You all look great. Once again, thank you for the 1,000 plus subscribers. I love you. Now, let's get down to business. Actually, this month, the month of May, is a twofold month for me. The first thing is the month of May is my birth month, my born month, the month in which I was delivered into this planet and given to this planet, and the planet was given to me, and I showed up. May 26th, for those of you who want to know the birthday. Yes, I'm a Gemini, and I know all of the stereotypes. I might even put some up there of what people perceive Geminis to be. Now that we've done that, yes, I'm a Gemini. My sun is in Gemini. My moon is in Cancer. Yeah, that's me. And then, so obviously, you guys, if you know anything about the sun signs and the moon signs and the zodiac and all that stuff, you know my Gemini is a little, some people say bipolar or tripolar or multipolar, but my Cancer moon solves that by making me more steady and more balanced, whatever. The astrology guy I watch on YouTube, he's actually really good at that stuff. But anyway, nevertheless, so that's the first thing about the month of May. But the second thing about the month of May that's very important is May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, so happy Mental Health Awareness Month, right? That is so very important, right? That we have a lot of things going on right now that are impacting people's mental health. We have things that we've dealt with from the past that impacts our mental health. So it is lovely and good to hear all over the place, whether it's on social media, whether it's on TV, whether it's out in the streets, whether it's at work, that we're celebrating mental health awareness in the month of May. And so I'm thankful for that. As you guys know, I'm a life coach. I'm not a therapist, but I know several therapists, and I'm willing to even connect you to certain therapists if you need help for any specific thing, because it is important to deal and dive in and deal with our mental health. I wanted to focus this particular conversation that we're having today on black men, because black men and mental health is a very interesting and challenging situation. You got a lot of things going on. And we were raised to believe certain things, obviously, about mental health that are make us less likely to get the mental health. In fact, if you tell somebody as a friend, as a concerned person, as a family member, as a lover, that, hey, I think you need to go get some mental health, they automatically get on the defensive because they assume that you mean that something is wrong with them mentally. No, it can be out of concern. Now, well, it can be that, but it can also be out of concern that I am worried about your health. I am worried about your life, and I want you to live long and be happy and be whole and be healthy. And in order to get beyond wherever you are, I would tell you to go get mental health. And me, I'm the type of person, I'm always suggesting therapy. I've done hours upon hours. If you do the calculation of all the hours I've been in therapy in my life, you probably have about a year or two of therapy time sessions for me. Because especially through my younger years, I had on my job, I had insurance that was paying for it, so I would use it. I had it for free in some instances, so I would use it. Because I felt like if there was anything that I had a blockage to get to, or that I couldn't fully understand it myself, even before I became a life coach, I would go get the therapy. As you guys know, I had trauma in childhood. I had trauma in adulthood. My life has been one of challenges that I've been able to overcome. But part of that overcoming had me going to therapy to be able to work out things that I couldn't process on my own. And I'm fully well open to admit that, talk about that. I have no shame in that. And there is no shame in mental health and mental illness and needing to go and get the help that you need to go. But there are certain things people don't think of, and that there have been all kinds of studies. The National Institute of Mental Health is a great resource that gives lots of information. The CDC, so many places, the African American Nurses, Association of African American Nurses, there's a lot of stuff. So one of the first things is you should know why African Americans and mental health is important to us. The first thing is African Americans are more than likely than their white counterpart to have psychological issues. We are more likely than our white counterparts to have psychological issues. Think about it. We've dealt with so much trauma as a people, right? Not to mention the trauma of slavery in itself in those many years, 400 plus years of that. And then the after effects of Jim Crow and racism and segregation and discrimination and all of this stuff that occurred beyond that. But even when you fast forward into modern days, and we can talk about all kinds of things. Just a few weeks ago, we had a young African American male killed, unarmed. Once again, a common phenomenon that has been happening year after year after year. And what winds up happening is the way it's dealt with or not dealt with or whatever, that creates a trauma for African Americans, and particularly African American youths, who have to worry about going out in the streets and being accosted, maybe even killed, simply for just being black. We'll deal with that when we get. I want to do a video specifically on that incident as far as it relates down in Georgia, Brunswick, Georgia, and Ahmaud Arbery. I can't even think of the name right now, but it's a big issue right now. And it's obviously what we would call a modern day lynching, because there's video and we've seen it. But that feeling and having to just digest that and have other people disregard your life and make you wrong for dying unarmed causes the trauma. Not to mention economic stress, having economic insecurities, food insecurities, wage insecurities, and a whole host of other things that impacts us as a people that do not impact other groups as much as it does. And so because of that, we are 20% more likely to have some kind of psychological issues that go undealt with. Another thing is that African American men, specifically, my specialty, They are 4 times more likely than African American women to die by suicide. 4 times more likely than black women to die by suicide. Now, yes, there is a strain on black women. Black women have had to carry the black community for a very long time due to several things from black men and from society that have forced black women to carry society. And black society. But black women have built up a strength that black men haven't yet dealt with. That's why we're 4 times more likely to die from suicide than are black women. And I can go down a list of famous black men who have died by suicide simply just because they're not able to handle life. It can be tough as a black man. It can be tough. And then, of course, lastly, the leading cause of African Americans between the ages of 15 and 24, right in the middle of my specialization, the ages of 15 to 24, young people, is suicide. The leading cause of death, I'm going to repeat it, for African Americans between the ages of 15 and 24, young people, is suicide. Now, I know you've heard stories. Oh, but what about black on black crime? Black men are more likely to kill black men, and then black men are killing black men at an alarming rate, and it's just a horrible thing. You're absolutely right. Black men are killing black men, just like white men are killing white men, and Hispanic men, Chicano, Latinx, are killing Latinx men, and people generally kill people who look like them. So there is an issue there that's a separate thing to address. But one of the things that people do not address is the high rate of suicide. The leading cause of death for African Americans between the ages of 15 and 24 is suicide. And suicide comes from depression and not being able to deal and not being able to cope. So when you think of a 15 to 24-year-old, you think of coming into themselves, becoming adults, learning awareness of life. You don't readily think of them having to deal with suicide and depression and mental illness and all kinds of things because we assume those people are all right because they're in the youth and almost in the prime of what we call their lives. But at the end of the day, there's so much going on. Time is moving so fast. Things are happening at a rapid rate. These people have access to information on the internet. Like, so for example, I mentioned the killing of unarmed black men. We see that all the time. Last year, it was almost like it was every month. It was occurring and occurring and occurring, and we would see it blasted all over social media. So to have these fears and these feelings and these thoughts of, I'm black, I'm a problem, I can be killed, I can be treated like an animal, no one cares about me. You know, I've even noticed as an instructor and teacher for many, many years, and I think I've said this before, how black youth, men specifically, little boys, are treated in public school classrooms. They're treated as a problem. And there is an immediate pipeline from those schools into prisons because those kids are treated as a problem that nobody wants to deal with. And when you do deal with it, you have to deal with that problem aggressively, criminalizing those kids early on from elementary school, high school, and onward. You know, or not valuing them for anything other than their physical prowess as athletes or sexualness or whatever the case may be. There is a deep, deep, deep situation. And when we focus and hone our attention a little bit more specifically into different communities like the black LGBTQ plus community, the suicide rates go up. The depression rates go up. The mental illness rates go up higher in specific communities like that because those are people who even within the black community sometimes do not feel like they have the love, the space, and a place to be themselves. So it gets even deeper when you go into certain communities within the black community, with black men within the black community, right? So there is definitely an issue of mental illness, mental health. And there are several reasons why black people do not go and get treatments. And you guys know them. I don't have to list them, but I am going to list them. But I don't have to list them because you all got black family members. We're black. You know what some of the things that swirl around in our brains as it relates to mental illness, but as it relates to medical treatment in general. One of the reason why we don't always get diagnosed with mental illness is because we're unlikely to go get treatment. And we're unlikely to go get treatment for several reasons. One, not enough money. Therapy can be expensive. I remember one time I was going to therapy the last time, it was about $189, $190 a session. And I was doing 2 sessions a week. So you're talking about almost $400 a week for therapy sessions. Multiply that times for a month, and you're talking about $400 a week times 4, $1,600 a month in therapy sessions. And you know how you can do the math for the year and get a total on how much that is a year. I could afford it because I work and I'm able to afford certain things, but your average African American male isn't able to afford that. And definitely not the insurance to be able to go and get the therapy that they need. Some insurance plans cover therapy. Some job insurance plans cover therapy. But if you can't afford the insurance, you can't get the help. So sometimes simple economics is a reason why African American males don't go get the help that they need. There is also a low trust for medical professionals and health professionals in general in the community. We can go back in history and we can see things like the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. We can go back and see the eugenics movement. We can go back and see the sterilization movements and slavery and different things that happened, not just in past times 100 years ago. We're talking things since the 1970s and 80s with some of these sterilizations in places like North Carolina, South Carolina, Mississippi, Louisiana, California. So we're talking within a certain time period, New York, a certain time period, within 50 years ago or less, in which we were seeing things that would make us question health professionals and how they treat African Americans. There's already, that we know of, studying in social sciences, there is a racial bias component to healthcare. You know, the way we're treated, the things we're asked, how our health is perceived, what we're supposed to have and not have as African Americans is perceived a certain kind of way by health professionals. And so given the checkered history or the murky history of health professionals, mental health professionals, and physical health professionals, African Americans in general have a overall general distrust of health professionals. So we don't go get the help. Right in line with that same thing is in our community, it is widely noted that you don't air out your dirty laundry. You don't put mama's business out there in the streets. You don't put daddy's business out there in the streets. What goes on in our house stays in our house. And so a lot of African Americans are raised to believe that if you go to a therapist, you're putting your business out there to a stranger. And we don't do that. We don't do that. That's not what we do as a community. We tend to guard our secrets like we guard our wealth and like we guard our lives. And many times that leads to us not getting the medical help or the mental health help that we need, which is to our detriment, but you got to understand how we see life. It's a cultural thing more than anything. And so because of that, we don't go seek the help that we need. We don't go get the help that we need from health professionals, mental health professionals, for whatever reason. So it is important that we do go get that help, right? African American males have a certain level of trauma. We are psychologically trained, inbred, raised to believe that mental trauma is a normality, right? You go in certain urban cities and you see black men being killed and gunned down and wars and violence and all of this other stuff, drugs, and people are dying on a regular basis. We're trained to believe that that's normality. So we're trained to just cope with it. But in the just coping, you're building a trauma. We're trained to believe that racism, as often as it happened, is just the way things are supposed to be. It's just the way it is. It's just the normality that we just have to expect and accept. But at the same time, in accepting that as a reality, you are also having to deal and cope and somehow manage the trauma that you are given. We are told that mass incarceration, fatherless homes, all of these other psychological things, not enough representation on TV and bad representation when it is there, and all of this stuff, we're trained that this stuff is normal, but this is creating serious traumas. And then when you add on top of that traumas that we can definitely look at, like abused kids and abused adults and rapes and child molestations and physical violent abuses, beatings and verbal abuse and mental abuse and all the other stuff that we can already say, hey, this is not right. When you compile that on top of that, you're compiling trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma, to where you're dealing with a person who now has a coping mechanism with trauma, but they're themselves is causing trauma. Because we know without a shadow of a doubt that most of the people who cause trauma to others is somebody who has a trauma that hasn't been dealt with. And so when you see black men killing black men, that's what that is. Trauma, a traumatic person not dealing with the trauma, causing trauma for somebody else. When you see criminal activity, when you see depression, when you see people having these bad toxic relationships and making them worse, that is trauma on top of trauma. That's someone who has a trauma, who never dealt with that trauma, who are causing trauma for somebody else. And it goes on from sexual promiscuity, alcohol and drug abuse, and the list goes on and on. It's ways of coping or releasing unintentionally or intentionally trauma that they're not dealing with. And so there is a need. There is a need to protect your mental health. You guys probably are noticing I'm thinning down a little bit because I've been working out. I've been exercising every morning. I get up bright and early to work out my physical body and to make sure I'm healthy. Because in my family, I have a history of high blood pressure, heart disease. My mom died from congestive heart failure, heart attacks, and all kinds of things. And so I have to be cognizant that with that history, I have to work on me so that I don't repeat the cycle of the history that I have physically. I also have a history of mental illness in my family. I also have a history with people who haven't dealt with their mental traumas and they're managing and they've passed it down to generation. So that is also something that I am deeply concerned with, is that I'm taking care of my mental health as much as I'm taking care of my physical, spiritual, and emotional health. And so that is what I'm saying to you. It is just as important for you to go to church and pray, or for you to pray and have a sense of spirituality, as a lot of African Americans, as we do. It is important for you to monitor your physical health and to make sure you're exercising and working out and doing all of those things, just as much as it's important for you to take care of your mental health and make sure that you are mentally healthy in a space in which you're able to manage your life. And you're not ruining or challenging other people's lives. You're having a strong, healthy life. I have a sibling. When I bring up mental health issues, when I bring up going to therapy, he'll say, I work out. I work it out. I'll go to the gym and I just work it out hard and I'll just aggressively take it out. No, you're getting fit physically. But mentally, you're compartmentalizing it and you're not releasing it. Releasing it is one thing, but releasing it to somebody who can help you healthily think about it is quite another thing. Therapists aren't there to judge you. That is not their job. That is not what they're there for. Therapists are there to give you a pragmatic, sometimes reasonable, sometimes intellectual way of thinking about what you're thinking about. They're only going off based on what you're saying and looking at that, observing that, and helping you to break that down for yourself. A good therapist is not going to tell you do A, B, and C in order to be better. A good therapist is going to look at what you're giving them, and they're going to ask you to reason that and to think through those things and feel those emotions and to feel those feelings and to express those things verbally so that you can hear them and understand it. It's not about programming your mind or reprogramming your mind. It's just about getting you to be aware of where you are. A good life coach does that too. A good life coach is only here to get you aware of where you are so that you know how, because you already know it, so that you know how and you can reason how to get to where you need to be better mentally, emotionally, spiritually, if you're a spiritual coach. So mental wellness is important. It is tremendously important. You got to take care of your mental health because that is what keeps you sustained. That is what takes care of your body. That is what takes care of your life. That is what takes care of your relationships first, is if you're mentally stable, mentally sound, and mentally strong. But you got to do it. So once again, happy Mental Awareness Month. May is Mental Awareness Month. I want you guys to go out, maybe take a time to go see a therapist, maybe take time to go see a coach, or maybe take time to meditate, to get some training, to read a book. Do something that is going to strengthen your mental awareness of yourself, and go out and do it. For more information, some of the information that I've used here, I got from this site. It is the National Institute of Mental Health. I have a link here, obviously. Go out there. find out things, get resources, get the tools you need to do because here's the thing. Only you can make sure you're where you need to be. No one can help you be better if you need to be better. No one's judging you. It's not about judgment. It's about being the best you can be. And can nobody judge you for being the best you that you can be. And so at the end of the day, get the help you need. It comes from love. This is coming from love. Continue to subscribe. Continue to come here. This is free resources, free information, free discussion, free dialogue and conversation. Come back, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave comments, like the videos. Do all of that. I love you. I'm here for you. And we're here for each other. So as I walk the journey and I'm growing as a person, I'm hoping that I'm helping you guys do the exact same thing. So I wish you nothing but the best. Happy Mental Health Month, mental awareness. Mental Health Awareness Month, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Peace.